What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Fiction Tea Reviews. Talk about the sci-fi Netflix show called Freaks. It stars Lexi Calker and Emily Hirsch. I found out that Emily Hirsch was in this. I was like, oh yes, but I initially watched it because I saw it pop up on like the screen of Netflix. I guess it's like one of the latest films that they put on here, even though it came out in 2019. And it was sci-fi, and it was about kids with superpowers. And I know we constantly keep hearing about those type of movies, but like I was here for it, so I was like, let's watch it. About a paranoid dad who is keeping his daughter inside of the house, and he's not telling her why. He just keeps saying that, you know, if you go outside, people are going to be after you. They were after your mom. They took your mom. I heard that I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to keep you safe. All the while, the little girl is secretly using her powers without her really understanding what she's doing or what it is. And she eventually, you know, wants to go outside. She's a kid. She wants to explore the world. She doesn't want to stay trapped. And once that happens, the story kind of goes along. So I love that it's told from a child's perspective because you don't really know what's going on. And also the child doesn't really know what's going on. So you're finding out at that same time, at that same level. You really see how the child views everything. And anytime she would go like into her past or she would see things, it would always be the setting of bedroom. I thought that was really interesting that no matter what she saw, like she'd be there, but from her perspective, she's still in her bedroom. So she really doesn't understand her power at all. And come to find out, she's not really in her bedroom. She's in these other places, you know, meeting these other people. I love that it was placed like that. Emily Hirsch did really well with this role. I mean, I love Emily Hirsch ever since Into the Wild. I've loved him ever since, honestly. He's a great actor. You could really see his emotions, and you can tell that father, he really cared for his daughter. And he really did whatever it took to protect her. And his powers were like really cool. And as well as the mother's powers, which didn't really get showed to the end of the film, but her powers were really dope. A lot of the characters' powers were really cool. One of them could, you know, they had flying powers. They could create like this bubble and like maneuver things and move things, invisibility, and being able to change the perspective and their form and go into the body of another person. Like, it's just really cool. I thought the powers were really cool. Very cool. I love how this film, although it was a sci-fi superhero, superpower type film, and we've seen it all before, yes we have. I love, even though we have, that it kind of had its own spin on it. The way that it was viewed from the child's perspective, that was kind of different. And also, I love that it was based around really just family and protecting your family and supporting your family and really taking care of each other. I found it interesting that the home setting was like an abandoned apartment, and I thought about, okay, maybe they just had a low budget. At first I was like, yeah, they must have had a low budget because look at this house. But then I was like, the house is really just, it's a part of it. The house is a part of the storyline. You know, it's not just because they had a budget or they didn't have a budget. The house really fits into the storyline once you continue to watch the entire thing. It's more like a indie sci-fi type of film, I would say. It's not like X-Men or like super fighting crime type of superhero movies, but it's still pretty good to me for like what it is. Yeah, I would love to see more, honestly. If I could think of anything to add, I would just love to see more of it. Anything, like if there's like, I would just love to see more of the family being able to use their superpowers, whether that's like they do another movie or a spin-off or a show, or they meet the X-Men. Like, I don't know, but I would just love to see more of their powers because their powers were really unique and very cool. And I love that you really got to see a lot of it, especially you got to see a lot of the dad's powers and a lot of the daughter's powers. Yeah, I love sci-fi, and if you're into sci-fi, you're gonna love to read this book called Rain by your Shirley T. Outlaw. It is a psychological thriller / sci-fi based book. It is about a group of young adults in a psych ward who have become accustomed to this lifestyle. The counselor who comes in and he's like, yo, something else is going on with this place. We're being haunted, and I'm having really traumatic experiences happen to me, and there's really mystical things going on with these kids, and it's not just them being mentally ill. They have some sort of abilities or some powers, and he really doesn't find that out until like later on. As he tries to figure out what's going on, it just gets deeper and deeper and crazier and crazier. If you want to stick around to hear more of the rest of what I read yesterday, sorry that the video cut off. I didn't even, like, I realized, but like once I edited it, I was like, yeah. But yeah, so last we stopped Tracy, who's about to introduce herself, and she says, "Hi, my name's Tracy." She gives a quick hair flip and folds her hands smiling. Tracy has her way with men, believe me. I've been a victim. And don't get me wrong, it felt fulfilling, I guess, but... So this is Joe telling us that Tracy, one of the other students, is basically talking. She's giving an introduction of herself, and this is her introduction. I'm originally from Jamestown, Arizona, but my father moved to Rain, PA, in Bluetown with his third wife, Chrissy. You may know her. She's a supermodel. She smiles before letting Newbie and everyone else for the 100th time know that her father, Don Mendel, is a wealthy stockbroker with billions of dollars, lots of women, really fabulous, luxurious, expensive, meaningless items. He owns a bar, a nightclub, a restaurant, a this, a that. Oh, the girl never stops. She blabs on about her father buying her a car for her birthday, and how he promised her that she won't be here much longer. Tracy talks a hell of a lot, although the last time I was alone with her, she didn't do much talking. Ugh, please. A tongue smacking is heard in the shadows of the room. Neo. Tracy is doing that exceedingly audacious thing. She brags about her father to distract herself from the reason why she is here, from the reason why her father put her here. I'm not like fucking crazy like the rest of these imbeciles, she reassures with an eye roll and hair flip. Tracy, as you all can see, is in denial of why she's really here. She thinks it's because her father is punishing her, which she is, but not for the reason she thinks. She thinks it's because she's being a naughty girl who doesn't listen and is a spoiled brat, which she is, but again, that isn't the reason why she is here. Teo, who is a stocky, 6-foot, muscular built, hardy, full adult, is now standing yelling his usual, "Sir, yes, sir," commandments. He's no longer with us, probably off at a base in World War II somewhere, I suppose. Last week he was in Afghanistan war with his... It changes throughout the week. Tracy turns to point at him. Exhibit A? Suddenly my roommate Ko is clapping for Tracy as if she did something so amazing. Sadly, she's Tracy's #1 mascot, the poor girl. She's an only child and always wanted a sister to look up to, so she follows Tracy around like an obedient chihuahua, seeking approval and attention from her, hoping to be accepted, all the while Tracy uses and manipulates her. That was great, Tracy, Ko grins. Tracy turns her head towards Ko and waves gracefully as if she's at a freaking beauty pageant receiving her nominee for most pretentious award for the ungrateful. Thanks, freak, she shrugs, turning to face the newbie. Ko frowns, lowering her head into her lap, sobbing in silence. Anyway, alright, thank you, Tracy, that's enough. He cuts her off. I don't think he's impressed, actually. He seems a bit upset, yet his stance is as graceful as a ballet dancer about to perform and give us the best show of our lives. Tracy, it's very nice to meet you, and I can see your, He lifts the clipboard with shaky hands and sweaty skin. But it was mean of you to call, He runs a finger down the paper. Teo. His eyes meet Teo's face, who, of course, isn't paying him any mind because he's busy rehearsing his commandments. I mean Ko names. He stutters over his own words, shifting back to Tracy. Ko wipes her tears, lifting her head. Because none of you are imbeciles. Or objects. None of you are. Suddenly his confidence is boosted. He scans the room, glaring into the souls of everyone's eyes, as his mouth utters the word, crazy. He turns back to Tracy. She obediently nods like the good girl she pretends to be. Tracy takes her seat. Newbie begins discussing his ideas, his theories of the word crazy and its meaning. He claims it was created for people who were misunderstood. People who had what he called special gifts or abilities. You know, in school it was very difficult for me to focus on simple class assignments. He takes a breath. I can see this is very difficult for him, but he's trying his best to connect with us. And homework assignments in comparison to other kids. He drifts off, gazing into thin air like he's having some sort of flashback. He scratches his little hairs above his lip, then continues. It was, I was called names like stupid, weird, and even crazy. Why? Asked Kale. Well, he smiles at Kale, because I was different than everyone else. My mind was like trying to tell me it was all together. Everything else in the world was a puzzle, out of order, scattered, and chaotic. I had no one to tell me that it was okay to not be normal, so... He pauses nervously, taking a breath before saying, I had imaginary friends. Played with toys up until high school. I play with toys, Kale blurts. The newbie smiles this time, showing his teeth, each small, fitted into place, but holding gaps in between. Now I can lie to you and tell you that I enjoyed his talking, his persistent yelling, screaming, perhaps even admired his honesty, or that we connected. But honestly, he just kept blabbering on, and on so much. So much that I could feel myself transforming, no matter how much I tried to ignore it. The voice, the darkness, the transformation wouldn't discontinue. First it began in my neck. A slight tickle of the nerves sent a shock down to my fingertips. Next, my legs buckled at the base of my calves. A sharp throb compacted my muscles as if I exerted myself during a marathon run. Working its way to my ankles, my bones crushed like a snapped pencil. And my feet started doing that tapping thing it does, where it doesn't stop. My toes stiffened, as if the blood stopped flowing to them. I was numb. Lastly, my eyes. My eyes rolled so far back in my head that I felt the whitening of my pupils. I can tell you that this has never happened to me before, but it has several times. The first time was in our old home in Santiago with my mother and father. I was younger, much more innocent then. I was awakened by sharp pains in my brain and dark black substances floating around my bedroom. I screamed for my mother, but she couldn't see it. The second time was with my father in the car. I tried to grab the wheel because a voice told me to do it or we'd die. We almost crashed. I have schizophrenia. I grab my teeth, grabbing my head. My blood vessels feel as if they're going to pop. My fingernails claw at my hospital pants, trying to seep through my skin. Then it happens. This is the flashback. I see myself walking towards my little brother, soiled in blood. Mandy is screaming, "You did this! What did you do?" I sweat profusely as the machinery wheels of voices dictate me. "Stop, Joe! You're a fool!" "Stop, Joe! You're a fool. Do it." "Joe, stop it. You're hurting him. Stop," she howls. "Oh my God, what have I done? I'm so sorry, Jake. Please, please forgive me. I'm so sorry." I whimper in bewilderment. What is wrong with me? So at that part, Joe actually went into a flashback of, if you were listening, it sounds like he did something to his little brother, and there was a girl there telling him and screaming at him like, "Why did you do this? Why would you do this?" A girl named Mandy. And prior to that, we just heard about... Prior to that, we got a visual of the episode that was taking place when he said his hospital pants, he was gripping his hospital pants, his knees started buckling. That right there was like basically a visual of how it happens when he kind of goes into that mode of flashbacks and hallucinations and just how he really goes into his whole episode. Let's continue though. It's getting good. So now we transition out of the flashback. So the good thing about when you're actually reading this, it is italicized for flashbacks. So you'll know like, okay, it's italicized. So that means maybe this is a different time flashback. And now we're going, like I said, transition out of the flashback. But I have to explain it to you because you guys can't obviously see the book. So this is the last italicized flashback moment. "You're sick. A monster." They laugh at me, pointing their judgmental fingers as the room spins out of control. Now, back to the present time where he is not being laughed at and not having a flashback of the time he really hurt his little brother. And now we are back at the place where he's in the room with all his friends, his so-called friends, and the counselor. I tried to resist, but I could feel this rage of emotion enter my thoughts, escape my mind, slip through my insides, quickly smothering my esophagus and vomiting from my mouth. "Fuck you!" I'm gonna try to act this part out. "Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you all. You're crazy. Not me. You did it, not me. Spit flies from my mouth. My blood is boiling like hot water on a stovetop and the gas is set to maximum. You did this oh, you who just sit here and you call us crazy, but you're the one who's crazy. All the humans are crazy. Just being in... Okay, so he's freaking out. He's having an episode. The character does a far better job at going crazy than I am doing right now. Need to just brush up on my acting skills. I hear it. The buzzing sound in my ear trying to come in. I yell louder to overpower it. Listening, cooperating, controlling all the C's, man. Alliteration. Species. I point. You're what's wrong with this world. I pace the room. You think you're better than us, huh? Think you're like us? Is that it? Newbie clears his throat, pulls out a white square, and runs his finger down the list. He says, Joseph, right? There's a little tricky part about that that I can't reveal right now, but he literally says Joseph, and then there's a comma, and it says right. R-I-G-H-T. And it's funny because... should I reveal that to you guys? It's his last name, but we haven't gotten to that. Joseph, right? Suddenly I heard the voices simultaneously overstimulating my thoughts. Still everyone is snickering at me. He tells them what I've done, how I was such a bad boy, how I deserve to be punished, how I hurt those people and I'm stupid. Still they laugh at me. It's funny. I seem to always be the butt of the joke. So the counselor is actually talking to Joseph and he's like, your name's Joseph, right? Because Joseph was having his episode. And Joseph kind of thinks that it's not the counselor. He thinks that it's someone else. And he thinks that he's being made fun of and laughed at. And now this is the counselor actually. This is what Joseph hears in the background as he's having his episode. He hears the counselor talking. Schizophrenic, violent, highly eloquent, rebellious, inconsiderate, uncontrollable, has 2 siblings, hallucinate. More words vomit, but I can no longer hear the tone. I see their faces drooping in laughter, changing colors like melted crayons mushed together to create creatures of art. This is art. Stop! Just stop laughing at me. It's not funny. Joseph. His eyes are blinking repeatedly in motion. He rubs them. It says here that you're, His voice is static like a radio. Very outspoken. So give us your opinion on the matter. My opinion? What? My opinion? Where? My eyes widen. My hands sweat. The room blurs. I'm starting to lose balance. So, he's still having his episode. And the counselor is actually like, okay, tell us. He's letting him speak and he's like, tell us your opinion on basically what he said in his episode. He was like, you guys are crazy. You guys keep saying that we're crazy. We're not crazy. And the counselor is like, okay, tell us then. Share your opinion with us. And Joseph, since he's going in and out of the episode, he's like, wait, what? Where? Like, where am I at? What's going on? Where am I? Staggering to each side, I point at him and yell, it's you. You're people. You people are like fucking cockroaches. You take everything. My breath fastens. I stand with my arms up, demonstrating the size of a cockroach. Big fucking cockroaches. Always intruding and just invading all of our lives. Blowing up, kapoosh. I 100%. I laugh before murmuring the words. I feel sorry for you. A sonorous tone escapes my mouth. His face is gray like a dirty old smudge on a page. His voice is saying something I can't hear, so I stumble closer for a better listen. Flashback. The room sways, rocking me back and forth in its womb where it's safe and warm. I wish to stay here in the ocean, but I feel my legs give out. I see a bright light. I collapse, falling, but the triangles catch me. My fingers sink into its purity, its grains, its heat. A lift in gravity pulls me up and onto a seat. They're watching. My body is heavy, yet the voice, it knows what to say. Yeah, I'm going to stop there. And that was a flashback of Joseph talking about, it sounds like he was having some sort of flashback, maybe in connection to his mother, because he's mentioned the word womb. So maybe he was just thinking about, or having a flashback of the time that he was inside his mother's womb and how it felt for him as a embryo, which is really interesting that he is able to even be able to remember that and go back into that. So that reveals that, yeah, he crazy, but he also can remember the time that he was in his mother's womb and what it felt like. So what else is going on? I'm excited to know what happens next. Joseph is freaking out right now. He's having an episode. The counselor is really trying to stay calm and figure out what's going on, because we're still in the perspective of Joseph. It's still all over the place and confusing, but I'm trying to break it down and tell you guys what's going on. We already got an introduction of Tracy, who is another one of the characters, who she talked about her father is super rich and she so-called doesn't belong there. She's not crazy like the rest of them, and she seems normal, but she's in there, so there's something else going on with that situation. We also get an introduction of Teo, who it was described to be a grown man who's in there with a bunch of teenagers, and there's also a reason why he's a grown man. He's in there with a bunch of teenagers. And as you can see, or as what you heard from Joseph's perspective, something's wrong with Teo, and he's not all there, and he goes in and out of episodes. So it kind of reveals, like, if he's going in and out of episodes and he's thinking that he was in the Afghanistan war, that maybe he has some sort of PTSD, I'm guessing, right? And we even get an intro of, we hear about this other character, Ko, which is Joseph's roommate, which he didn't really talk too much about, but he talked about that she was insecure. And another character, Niho, which he mentions. Niho, one of the other characters, Niho, we didn't really get an intro of this character. But as you can see, there has been about 5 of the kids have already been mentioned in the story. We have, I believe, 2 other kids who haven't been mentioned. Well, they're not kids, they're like young adults, and the counselor. So yeah, already the intro, we got introduced to a couple of the characters. So I'm interested to reveal more characters to you guys and get past Joseph's part and really get into John Smith's, because John Smith's really going to make everything sound clearer from his perspective, what's going on. It's gonna get good. This is my first book and I'm just super excited. This is my baby right here. I'm just proud of this book, no matter if it's not perfect. Like, I know that I can make more because I already made the first one. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below and let me know, have you seen this film, and how do you feel about sci-fi films, sci-fi superhero films? Should there be an end to sci-fi superhero films because we already got X-Men? Should they just dead that? Or are you looking forward to more sci-fi superhero films? Let me know in the comments below.